What you're about to see here is a 5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton gas tank that was severely gunked up. So I used gravels to knock some of the stuff loose in it. This regular crush and run that you'd have on your driveway. And then I filled it up with apple cider vinegar and let it set for all night. It was nasty. Poured it out, let it set in, shook it around some gravel some more, poured it back in there and let it set for 2 more hours with apple cider vinegar, and then graveled it again, cleaned all out that all out in the parts washer, then in the sink. Moved to a new location to a fixer-upper house, so I don't have a shop yet. But this is what we've got to do to get this generator working, which I'll then sell somebody. And I think this generator was used for about a month of some home construction, and then left set for dead in the garage. But while you set it in the convection oven, set it at 150 degrees, that way it doesn't melt anything, because I wanted to dry some of it up, and being as though I'm too cheap to go to the store and buy a gasket for something I probably can't get much money out of, being as though it's rusty looking and looks worse than it is shape wise, I have bought gasket making compound that is gasoline friendly. And you just, for lack of a better word, you smear it on there good after cleaning that up with a Dremel or one of these sanding blocks here. Actually, that's what I use, is a sanding block. I razor bladed it all off both sides, sanding blocked it all smooth, put that stuff up on there, let it set for 3 minutes, then assemble it. Put them screws back in, just a little over finger tight as their Allen head, or Torx I should say. Tighten them down just barely, just a little tight, and then yank. That's it. All the way around. Put it in the oven for around 20 minutes, and now it's done. And I got to show you another trick with the pump diaphragm. I also had needed 2 clean flat pieces of sheet metal, so I had these for the remodel. So what I do with it, I put a little oil on each side. Stick these in the oven for not very long. Probably I put them in there for 10 minutes. Smeared oil on it where nothing would stick on both sides. In other words, just regular motor oil. And put this here dude back in there. There's nothing really wrong with it. It would have been nice if I had to get one, but I got a local lawnmower shop who likes to charge about 8 times what these are worth. So when you're in a constricted situation, you look at this thing and you think, well, the next owner of it will probably run it one season, leave gas in it, and let it run anyway. So I don't see the point in putting it in there. It's still fairly good shape. It looks worse than it is. And I've pulled around on some of the edges of it to see how brittle it was, and it's fine. But this is how you can get them, you flatten them back out, because these reeds right here, if they're, you know, been all the way out like that, I've fixed many a little weed eaters after they've gummed up and I left them for a year or 2. Actually, I had a 20-year-old Echo I done this with, and flattened it back out where these a seat. Sometimes you actually got to get in here and kind of roll these over the opposite direction. But this works really well. This is the best way to do it. Just throw it in there. These blades are heavy enough to where it just squashes it right down. The heat will kind of get it back to where it was made at the factory, because materials always like to go back to where they were when they were built for the most part. And this that's stretched out, it's always going to be stretched out in the center, because you got a spring and a little round keeper that dishes in there right there on that surface. So That's how you get a pump diaphragm or any other type of diaphragm straightened back out. Just heat it a little bit. Use about 150 degrees. Might can amp it up a little bit depending on your materials, but be conservative. If it don't work, then you can get more aggressive with the temperature. Wouldn't probably suggest over 200. But anyway, that's it, YouTubers. Let's see how many negative comments I can get on this, and how I should have done everything perfect. But this gas tank, I can touch it. It's clean. Just trust me on that. It's clean, clean, clean. Don't need to reline it now or none of that. Good shape. And that thing was caked.